Rain-slicked streets glistened beneath the flickering glow of the street lamps. In the quiet hours past midnight, the city seemed to hold its breath. Only the distant hum of traffic and the occasional hiss of water dripping from the rooftops broke the silence. Somewhere in that darkness, Emily Carter walked alone, her coat drawn tight against the chill. She'd grown used to the cold. It was far easier to bear than the emptiness she'd carried for the last 3 years. 3 years since the night her brother, Michael, had vanished without a trace. 3 years since the police shrugged, filing him under another unsolved case number. 3 years of whispers in small-town coffee shops, of pitying glances and tight-lipped neighbors who didn't want to get involved. Emily had learned one thing in that time. Silence wasn't innocent. Silence had a price, and it was often paid in blood. She had been a journalist once, chasing truth for the thrill of the byline. Now she hunted it for survival. Every lead she'd followed had led her deeper into a network of corruption that ran like roots beneath the city, feeding on fear. And at the center of it was one man, Daniel Cross, wealthy, untouchable, the kind of man who smiled for the cameras by day and made people disappear by night. Emily's investigation had been careful at first, too careful. She'd wasted months pretending she could play by the rules, but Michael's voice haunted her in dreams, laughing, calling her Em, only to fade into the sound of footsteps and a slammed door. It was enough to push her past the point of patience. She wasn't looking for an arrest anymore. She wanted retribution. Her plan began with the smallest fracture, a whisper to the right person, a hint dropped in the right ear. Daniel Cross thrived on control. Her job was to make him lose it. It started at one of his charity galas. She went as a ghost among the glittering crowd, wearing a borrowed gown and a false smile. She didn't speak to him directly. Instead, she lingered at the edge of his circle, laughing just loud enough for him to catch pieces of her conversation, carefully crafted lies about documents and the girl who knew too much. By the end of the night, she saw the flicker of doubt in his otherwise perfect expression. Next came the accidents. A rumor in the papers about missing funds in one of his charities, an anonymous email to his investors about unsafe labor practices, small fires that forced him to spread himself thin. She could see the pressure mounting. His public mask began to crack. But Emily knew she couldn't win this war from the shadows forever. So she took the risk. She arranged a meeting under the guise of an investor, a dimly lit bar, midweek, when no one important would see him. She was there first, nursing a glass of whiskey, heart pounding with a rhythm she couldn't calm. When he arrived, he smiled like they were old friends. "I hear you've been asking questions," he said, sliding into the seat across from her. "I hear you've been avoiding answers." The conversation was a dance, her pushing, him deflecting, but she saw it in his eyes when she mentioned Michael's name, that split second of recognition he tried to hide. He knew. After that night, the game escalated. Her apartment was broken into. Her phone was tapped. Shadows followed her on the street. But she expected this. In fact, she counted on it, because every step he took to intimidate her was another piece of evidence, another thread she could weave into a noose. The breaking point came when she sent him a single photograph. Michael, tied to a chair in what looked like an abandoned warehouse. It was an old image she'd found online, edited to look real. The bait worked. Within hours, Daniel's men were scrambling, desperate to find the leak. That's when Emily struck. She tipped off the media, the police, and a few enemies of Daniel's who had been waiting for their chance. By the time the sun rose, his empire was in flames, figuratively and literally. But Emily wasn't done. The last time she saw him was in that same warehouse from the fake photo, except this time, it wasn't fake. His hands were bound, his face pale with disbelief. "You think this will make you whole?" he spat. "No," she said quietly, "but it'll make you gone." The city never found his body, and Emily never spoke of that night. But the silence that followed wasn't like before. This time, it belonged to her.